Right, well, it's 10:01, so the Commissioners Court of Brazos County will meet in regular session on April 21st, 2020 at 10 a.m. in the Commissioners Courtroom, the County Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue, Suite 106. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance and Invocation, which are led by Commissioner Aldridge.
Please pray with me. Eternal God, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this life. We thank you for our ability to be able to gather together in a free country and make decisions based upon what the will of the community is, as well as the guidance that you provide for us who are their leaders. We ask that you today, as always, give us wisdom in making decisions on behalf of our constituents. We appreciate them. We appreciate those who defend these rights today. We have prayed about before, Father, and we ask that you grant all these things to us as we deliberate here today. Continued blessings upon Brazos County. In your holy name I pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Second item on the agenda is call for citizens' input and/or concerns, and I have an email from Robert Rose that he wanted us to read in court. So, greetings. It's come to my attention that the Brazos County Health District has invested in establishing a spiritual helpline. While this effort may be well-intentioned, it violates the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution as a legal precedent. Brazos County should not be utilizing taxpayer-funded resources to promote Christianity or any other religion. Furthermore, I'm concerned about the potential liability for Brazos County by allowing unlicensed and uninsured people to effectively provide counseling to people seeking help. Brazos County should know better than to directly violate civil rights and subject the county to liability. I ask you to stop county participation in the spiritual helpline. Thank you for your attention. Robert Rose, Bryan, Texas. Is there any other citizen input and/or concern?
Judge, when did the spiritual hotline go into effect? And is the county involved?
Well, I don't know that we should have too much discussion about it. I think it's going to be stopped.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
there's been a discussion about it, so I think it'll end. So.
And the county wasn't involved?
And no, we weren't directly involved
Okay.
in it. So any other call for citizen input and/or concern? We will consider and take action on agenda items 3 through 16. Number 3 is request from Elections Administrator for payment of authorization to Texas Voting Systems, Inc. in the amount of $32,500 for election services contract for the March primaries. PO was not requested in advance.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion made, second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Number 4 is approval of Texas Department of Emergency Management Public Assistance for Texas COVID-19 DR 4485 grant terms and conditions.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, second. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Number 5 is consider and take action to amend or rescind order canceling split payment of property taxes of Brazos County.
Move approval.
Judge,
Yes.
I move that we rescind the order canceling the split payment of property taxes in Brazos County.
Okay. Motion made to
Second.
rescind and seconded. We got a motion and a second to rescind the split pay. What I want to do is to try to explain one more time. I've explained it several times, and I don't know that I've ever got it over to everybody, but let me try to explain what the issue is, and I'm certainly okay with rescinding it, but Christy Rowe, our tax assessor collector, sends out the payment bill in October for your tax payment, based on what she receives from each taxing entity, whether it's the county, the cities, or the ESDs. And everything's okay by sending it out in October, and that gives anybody who wants to do a split pay the ability to make that payment before December the 1st. The problem can be that if one of the governmental entities goes over the cap, then now the law requires a mandatory election. And we don't know the results of that election until the election is the first Tuesday after the first Monday in November, the general election. And we don't really, the official count isn't received until after we give time for any overseas ballots to come in. So it's usually at least a week after the election that you actually get to certify an election. So that's going to throw us into mid-November. And then if the election fails, then the numbers that were sent out in October are no longer correct. So then Christie has to recalculate the numbers, have all that the new corrected notices printed up, mailed out through the mail, and then those property owners who do the split pay then would receive them and then have to make the correct payment. The things that are required for somebody to qualify for split pay is the payment has to be made before December the 1st, and it has to be half. And so the issue becomes is if the election fails, then if they sit their money in October or sometime prior to, that payment is not correct. By the law, it's not half anymore, because if the election fails, then it reduces that tax bill, and so the tax assessor would have to send out new payments. My concern, and I think the court's concern, has been that, let's say you receive your October statement, and it says on there that split pay is X amount, and based on all the information that the tax assessor has, and you make your payment in October, and then the election fails, and then the tax assessor sends out new corrected statements that'll come out. Maybe they might get there at the end of November, but it'd be pretty close, or they'd really have to be working to even get them there in time. But you receive a corrected invoice, and you say, well, I've already taken care of my taxes. I've already paid them. And don't pay attention that this is a corrected statement with the accurate number on there, which is what it's got to be. And so you fail to do anything about it. And the first time you would find out that you did not qualify for the split pay because you didn't send in an accurate amount of money, then the first time you would probably find out is when you receive delinquent tax notices in February or March. That's been the dilemma that the court has had and been concerned about, was that there may be a lot of folks who do not understand that to qualify, you got to have it there before December 1st, and it's got to be half.
Exactly.
And if you don't, yes, before December 1st is what the law says. December 1st would be November 30. You got to pay it by November 30, but yeah, I think the law actually says before December 1st. And so if you don't do that, then you don't qualify. And if you don't qualify, then you owe all of your tax by January 31st. And you may not even know that you didn't qualify, because there's no way the tax assessor can go back and say, well, I think this person intended to pay that for a split pay. If the number's not accurate, and that's what the law is, it's half, then you don't qualify. So the court took a look at all that and thought, there's going to be a lot of confusion, and there's going to be people who think they paid it and in fact didn't qualify, and then when they get their tax notices with the delinquent and penalty on top of it, they're going to be going to the tax office, and they're going to be coming to us, and they're going to be saying, hey, we made our payment, we did everything we were supposed to do, but they didn't. If they didn't pay that exact half, and if the numbers changed, they wouldn't be able to. So that's the reason the court decided that it might be best. So let me, and we'll take a vote on this, and I suspect it'll be rescinded, but I want to make sure that anybody that's doing a split pay, you be aware that if there's an election, and if that election, an election to go over the cap, that's what that election would be. If either one of the cities or the county or ESDs have an election to go over the cap, and it fails, then that notice that you received in October may not be correct. It really is only the property that is within those limits, whether it's in a city that maybe would fail, or if it's in the county, it'd be the whole county, but if it's an ESD, then it would be there. So if you do that and you make your split pay, you just need to be aware that you need to check before December 1st to make sure that you made the accurate payment, because if you don't qualify. So
Judge?
I see Christy back there. I don't know whether you want to add anything to it or not. Okay. I hope
I'd like to speak to my
okay.
motion.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Steve?
if we're at that point. Yes, sir. On the split pay, this is just research, and I think maybe this may be another effort to clarify the county commissioners court's thinking and the county in total's thinking, and instructions for those who need to acquire a better understanding or want to acquire a better understanding of why this decision was originally made. From information that we have received, that I have received from the tax assessor collector, about 5% of Texas County have this option. About 10% of Brazos County accounts, that's the total number of accounts that pay into Brazos County, use the split pay option. Of those 10%, that is representation of approximately 18% of all Brazos County total receipts. If any entities, so any entity from Senate Bill 2 could create the potential for incorrect payments, and that would trigger the potential for penalties and interest according to the law that governs the Texas that controls the assessor collector's duties. The over 65 multiple payment option is not affected by the rescinding by the previous order. So the potential consequence of Senate Bill 2 is what was being addressed when the original order went into place. Feedback from the taxpayers and citizens of Brazos County of the 10% of accounts, 18% of tax receipts, split payment option was overwhelmingly negative towards our actions. And current economic conditions due to COVID-19 necessitated in my opinion, maintaining that option. Therefore, that's why I'm making the recommendation that we rescind it. This would give Brazos County taxpayers who want to or who currently use the split pay option at least a year to be able to arrange their budget if in an entity or such as an ISD, the city, the county, either two cities, the county, the MUDs, or emergency services districts had an election that would trigger the potential consequence. The potential for the split pay encounters issues of penalties and interest. They still exist, even though we are rescinding this order, so it's kind of a buyer beware, taxpayer beware situation. Talking about potential solutions as we move forward. They can be legislative, which needs to take place in the changing of or amending Senate Bill 2 and the wording. I have had conversations with Representative Rainey, and he would be willing to work with us in support of correcting the legislation to where either the amount or the day that it was due to be reported and paid if a split payment option was being used. The other solutions could be administrative by working through the tax assessor collector's office by providing them with better software, more staffing, making software changes so we could maintain this split pay option from a feasibility standpoint through Brazos County for the 10% of total and 18% of total revenue or total tax receipts. I think this still requires entities to be aware and notify their constituents aware and make them aware of the fact that were they to trigger this event with an election, that this would be the consequence. The potential for liability upon those who use the split payment would be in effect. Public advocacy also with those entities, as we received when we put the order in place, not to trigger the event, would also be helpful and beneficial. The 10% and 18% receipts, people need to be able to advocate also with the cities, or with cities, MUDs, ESDs, or the county about the potential to trigger such an event, and communicate with them in the same manner that we've been communicated with since we took our action 2 weeks ago Tuesday.
Okay. Is there any further discussion?
Well, one of the things that some of the constituents have been concerned about is the raising of taxes. And I've assured them that this does not in any way raise taxes. So we've got a lot of concerns out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, there've been a lot of the taxpayers that use this vehicle
Yes.
that have expressed concern about it, and I think we're going to hear. We've
Some
heard
more.
them, and we're going to deal with it. But again, I think I just wanted to make sure that anybody that's doing it is aware that there is a potential pitfall, and if you're not paying attention, and there's an election and it fails, you might not be in compliance. And so you just need to be aware of all that. And if you are, then there's no problem.
That's true. And it's
And Judge,
not
one last
raising the
comment,
taxes.
if I may.
Okay.
I just wanted to say how appreciative I am of those people who have contacted all of us to express their concerns. I know
Yes.
that I speak on behalf of the entire County Commissioners Court, that we feel like this is how things need to be taking place, and we respond by listening to our constituents, and we appreciate our constituents and taxpayers in Brazos County communicating with us on a issue such as this.
Absolutely.
So appreciation to them. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay. No further discussion. The motion and second is to rescind the order canceling split pay. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 6 is approval of the following job descriptions: General Counsel, Class Code 241, County Judge, and B, Chief of Staff, Legal Officer, Class Code 0240 for the County Judge.
Move approval A and B.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 7 is Order 20-011, providing for the deferment of the payment of the hotel occupancy taxes.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. And this is another area that, the hoteliers, they're in terrible shape. There's just nobody coming in staying in hotels. So I think the two cities have already been able to defer theirs. I think it's a good move to defer
Absolutely.
that payment
Yes.
until December of this year. So any further discussion?
Judge?
Yes, go ahead.
I would like to just remind everyone that in the order, in this, I'm sorry, this is not an order. Yes, an order. I would like to order 2011. Like to make sure people are aware of the fact that 2% of the 2% of the hotel occupancy tax that Brazos County receives is only The only amount that we can defer, the 0.75% that is a requirement of our ILA for the expansion and renovation of Kyle Field that's still in existence, could not be deferred.
That's correct, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Steve. Thank you. Yes, that's
Thank you.
correct. That's all we're deferring is the 2% that comes to the county, and that'll be deferred until the end of December.
And that is addressed in verbiage in the order.
Yes, it is. Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 8 is an order 20-012 for emergency amendment fiscal year 2020.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 9 is request from the county attorney for the following personnel changes with the effective date of April 18, 2020. This will have a decrease to the FY20 county attorney's budget in the amount of $146,037.
Move approval.
A and B.
Second.
Second.
Motion made, seconded to approve A and B. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 10 is request from the county judge for the following personnel changes effective date is April 18, 2020. This will have an increase in the FY20 county judge's budget in the amount of $146,037.
Move approval A and B.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. So what I just want to explain what's going on. We had 2 civil positions over in the county attorney's office. They've been there for a good many years. I will tell you, during this COVID pandemic, I found that having someone in the middle of what's going on has been greatly helpful with all the things that I've been having to do. So I talked with Rod about moving the 2 positions over here, and he was fine with that because they were actually created. There was really the workload that they did was here. Ed Bull he's been here with me for the time, and I felt like having him as a chief of staff position and attorney, and then Bruce's position will be general counsel, so he still will continue to be general counsel as he was in the county attorney's office. So, and we've all discussed it, and so I thought I think it's a good move, and I think it'll help us be more efficient and get things done. Ed knows most of the departments and elected officials, and he can help move things along too. So, but I do want to say, Chief Stewart has been helping with this COVID, thanks to the sheriff lending him over, and I don't know how we'd have been able to get all this stuff done if it hadn't been. There's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes and I know we've still got a lot of departments that, in spite of the county being closed down, a lot of them are still out there doing what they have to do to keep the county going. And so that's what I just wanted to kind of explain a little bit about that. Any further discussion?
It's just an excellent idea. Bruce and Ed have served us so well. It just makes a whole lot of sense, and I think making Ed chief of staff is a superb idea.
Yeah, thank you. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 11 is approval of purchase of one 2020 Chevrolet Tahoe PPV instead of a Ford F-150 to replace Unit 131 for the Sheriff's Department. The total cost of one vehicle is $31,650.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 12 is approval of the Treasurer's Report for February 2020.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and
Second.
seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 13 is expenditure journal entries FY 19/20 for 040023 through 040023.
Move approval.
Second.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 14 is budget amendments. Budget amendments FY 19/20, 29.1 through 29.4.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 15 is personnel change status.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None motion carries. Number 16 is payment of claims. Claims to be paid by Brazos County, claim number 8024919 through claim number 8025078.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion made, seconded. Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None motion carries. Number 17 is Juvenile Director's Report on Detention Population. Linda.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. At the present time, the Juvenile Department has 15 juveniles in detention. We have 13 males, 2 females. We have 1 juvenile in medical isolation, and that's just due to the protocol that we have. They just came in yesterday, so we will keep them in medical isolation. All our juveniles are healthy at this time. We've had no testing done, not because there's no need for it, and the staff seem to be healthy, and we're just moving right along. We have 20 youth juveniles on electronic monitor, and I think that's it for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 18, Sheriff's Report on Inmate Population. Sheriff.
Judge, Commissioners, good morning. Our population this morning is 475 inmates, 398 are female or male, and 77 are female. 46 on electronic monitor, 1 pending. We have 3 staff that are quarantined due to possible exposure, and we have 4 inmates in isolation. We have no positive test on any staff or inmates.
Great.
So I'd really like to commend our officers and deputies and staff for embracing the things that we've needed to do to keep that virus out of our jail, and we just pray that we'll continue to see that. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's almost an impossible chore, but there's never a doubt in my mind that if it could be done, y'all would handle it. So thank you,
We're
Sheriff.
doing our very best.
Okay. And number 19 is an announcement of interest items and possible future agenda topics. You know, the governor Monday of this week changed his order, and I think he opened up the parks, state parks, Monday. Today, I think, is it today or tomorrow, that he's going to actually, some of the elective surgeries can be done. And then Friday, he's doing what I think he calls retail to go, where non-essential businesses can do much of what essential businesses have been doing if they can have that capability of calling in and driving up and, you know, being able to hand out things. So because of the changes that are occurring, and he has said he'll make probably further announcements Monday, I'm going to sign the order rescinding the county's order that was put in place for the sheltering order, because there'd be confusion between what the county's got in place and what the governor's doing, and he still, what he's got will still require the things that the social distancing and washing your hands and all those kinds of things that we've had in place for a good while now. They'll still be in place. His order takes precedence across the state, so I think to keep confusion from occurring, I will be signing this rescinding that order that's in place right now for the county. It doesn't change a whole lot except for what the governor has changed, And then as he makes changes, as we hopefully begin to kind of open back up, this one won't be in place to cause problems or confusion. So I'll be doing
When is
that.
the county rescinding the shelter in place? When will that take effect?
I'm going to sign it today, just right now. In fact, I can do it right now. If we'd like, I'm going to go ahead and sign it. It's something that, you know, the county judge is emergency management of the county, and so it's not what the court has to do. It's a county judge deal.
So are we opening all services of the county?
No.
No.
It's,
Okay.
we're still under the governor's orders. This really doesn't change. And the governor, all he did, this order that I had in place was pretty much mirrored what the governor's
Right.
orders already were.
Yes.
And so he's opened up a few things like the state parks and the electives, some elective surgery. And then Friday is when his order allows some of the non-essential businesses to do, I think he called them retail to go, I think is what his description was. So that there wouldn't be a conflict between what I've got in place and the governor's orders. That's the reason I felt like it was best just to go ahead and rescind it. We'll follow the governor's orders. They haven't changed a lot, but they have made a few changes and may be changing as we evolve into hopefully eventually kind of going back to normal.
So does that mean I can go to church on Sunday?
I don't know that that's in the order. I think if there's no more than 10, and you know, there are some conditions that are still in the governor's orders. I'd check with the governor first.
I don't think it would matter.
Judge, just because we'll probably have some questions, for as far as our county personnel, we're still practicing till the 30th right now.
We're still really under the same rules that we had been under. So until the governor begins to open up more, then I think we'll remain like we are. I think it's still best to do all the social distancing that we've been doing, which part of that is, you know, the employees.
So I should still wear my mask?
You certainly can. Yeah.
And I should still wear my gloves when I go into the grocery? Okay. As Candy has shared, I am certain we will have some phone calls, and that's why I'm prompting the
Right, sure.
questions, because a lot of people get really confused about what government and local government in particular is doing. So I anticipate we're going to have some calls, Ed. And Chief, so be kind.
Okay. So that was an announcement of interest items. There's another call for citizens' input and/or concerns. And I don't hear any, so the next item is to adjourn.
Thank
Thank
you.
y'all.
Thank you.